appears that we've also got online Councillor Duthie from Regional Council. And Quentin, we're assuming that you're going to speak in public comment. Is that right? Thank you. Right. If we can start the live stream, please.
You can just you don't need to move.
Okay. Right, tēnā koutou katoa, nau mai ki te hui I te komiti I te ara waka I tēnei rā. Welcome everybody to today's Traffic Subcommittee meeting. The emergency procedures on the screen. And just a reminder for everybody in the chambers to please have your mobile phones switched to silent mode. Let's start with the opening formalities. Karakia timatanga, if you'd like to join me. Whakataka te hau ki te huru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai. E hi aki ana te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, ti hei, mauri ora. There are no apologies. We do have lateness for Councillor Barrett, who will be joining us on Zoom shortly. We do have a public comment, and online we have Greater Wellington Regional Councillor Quentin Duthie. So you have 3 minutes to speak, Quentin, if you would like to speak to us.
Kia ora, can you hear me okay? Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry to not be there in person, and I've just rushed out of a workshop to join you. Simply would like to commend to you the recommendations in your order paper relating to improving the bus stops and enabling bus shelters. Anything we can do to make it safer and easier for buses to pull into, pick up and drop off passengers and pull out of is enabling of more people using the bus service, of bus drivers being able to do their jobs well, and making our streets safer as well. One of the items is particularly around relocating a bus stop at the corner of Wood Street and Parenga Street in South Wainuiomata, in order to, part of the reason is in order to enable a shelter to be put there. It's been something I've been following as councillor for a couple of years. Residents there have been seeking a shelter for a long time, along with another shelter in Taitau, which is also coming. And I have spoken to it at the community board, and the community board discussed it last week. So I think we've landed on a good solution that resolves some of the neighbour concerns and positions the bus stop in a better and safer place for passengers and for motorists coming past. And will enable a shelter to be installed too. Greater Wellington has a very limited budget for installing new bus shelters, in part because of funding cuts under the National Land Transport Fund. So this would be one of, I think, only 2 that would be able to be installed in Lower Hutt this financial year. And I would love to see it installed and see locals using it. So I commend those reports to you. That's all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Duthie. Couldn't agree with you more. Any members, do you have any questions of Councillor Duthie? No. Thank you very much for coming in on public comment. Item number 4, conflict of interest declarations. Any members declare any conflicts of interest that we may have in relation to items on the agenda? We're all good. Moving on to item number 5, recommendations to Te Konahere o Te Awa Kairangi Council meeting on the 29th of September 2025. We'll start with item 5A, bus stop improvements, numbers 8288 and 9288 in Sladden Street, Naenae. It's on page 6 of the agenda. And we invite Paul Hewitt, Head of Transport, and Vandra Shearer, Traffic Engineering Manager, to speak to the report. And just indicating to everybody here, we have Leona Usuvic and Arjun Manoharan from Metlink are in attendance for the bus improvement items. Thank you for coming in today.
Kia ora.
Do you have anything to add to the paper?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, well, Greater Wellington Regional Council with Hutt City Council will engage with Hutt City Council regarding a number of Metlink upgrades they're looking at, which cover off the first 4 papers that have been presented today. So I'll hand over to Evandro, who will introduce those 4 papers. And as you alluded to, we've got representatives from Greater Wellington Regional Council here who will be able to answer any specific questions you have around bus stop placements and the interaction with the bus routes.
Kia ora, councillors. Today we're seeking approval for several bus stop upgrades. Changes were prepared by Greater Wellington Regional Council, GWRC, with support from Council. The reports are part of the Metlink ongoing program of bus stop and network improvements across the city. The changes are to improve bus passenger experience with safer bus stops, with improved entry and access points. We also note that some proposals do not include broken lines outside of driveways, which is something that we can do under our internal process of the legal authority process. Prior to the installation of the new bus stops, officers will engage with residents to seek for the support of those bus stops. So the first proposal is for Sladden Street, which we consulted with the community. There was one resident who raised some concerns about the bus operations and vehicles impacts, suggesting parking bays as an alternative option to reduce risks of vehicles being struck. We did explain that the road is wide enough to safely accommodate parked cars, and the issue was mainly associated with the bus maneuvering space. So the proposal from GWRC will mitigate the issue. After clarifying the proposal, the resident was supportive of the change. I'm happy to take any questions.
Members, are there any questions? Councillor Mitchell.
Yeah, thank you. The first statement about these particular bus stops in paragraph 3 was that the resident raised concerns due to the current location of the bus stops, and the proposal here is to change the layout of the bus stops, but not the location. I just wondered if any alternate locations had been considered.
I would like to invite GWRC representatives to help us with this response.
This one? Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Leona Usuvic from Greater Wellington Regional Council, Metlink. I'm an asset planning engineer in the bus and ferry assets team, and our role is to manage our bus stop infrastructure across the region. We first worked with Hutt City traffic engineers on this one. Evandro, can you remind me what the complaint was about the locations?
The concern was about vehicle damage and unsafe reverse.
Yeah.
So issues about causing by bus drivers.
Yeah, so obviously from a resident's point of view, they could see, because buses are striking their vehicles, they could see the location as a problem, when in reality, if we have sufficient road marking on the road, that will reserve enough space for our buses to safely enter and exit within that bus stopping space. And obviously that would prevent private parking within that bus stopping space and prevent further damage. So to increase decrease the vehicle damage experienced by these residents, our recommendation, along with Hutt City traffic engineers, was to mark out those bus stops. And that was obviously what we are proposing in these plans, and that will reduce these instances from happening. So it really isn't the location per se, it's just getting those road marking standard road markings in to prevent this damage from occurring.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? No, right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I move recommendations 1 to 6 on page 6. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parkin, is there any debate? Now put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. Against, no. I declare the motion carried. Item 5B, proposed relocation of bus stop 9915 Parenga Street, Wainuiomata, and that's on page 14 of the agenda.
This proposes to relocate the bus stop from outside 104 Wood Street to Parenga Street near the intersection to improve accessibility and also align with the Metlink's network's upgrade. There was one opposition made from one of the residents that was related to the proximity of residential care, suggesting the bus stop to remain on Wood Street. GWRC explained the proposed site would be along the boundary of the home, away from the main entrance, with a short walking distance from the existing stop. So no further comments were received since the response was provided to the resident.
Are there any questions? For a FYI, a question was raised at the agenda meeting in regards to broken yellow lines extending across the entrance to Leonard Wood Park. So following on from the meeting, we've added recommendation number 7, which we'll put up on the screen for people to see. And the addition I'll read through this actually just to make sure that we've got it right. So I move that subcommittee recommends that Council 1 receives and notes the information contained in the report, approves the relocation of bus stop 9915 from outside 104 Wood Street to Parenga Street near the intersection with Wood Street, outlined in Appendix 1, attached to the report, approves the installation of a 9-metre entry taper and 10-metre exit taper along with associated no stopping at all times, road markings outlined in Appendix 1 attached to the report, notes that the standard bus stop configuration generally requires 33 metres made up of an entry taper of 9 metres, bus box 15 metres and exit taper 9 metres. This length may be increased where needed to discourage illegal parking and leftover spaces that are too short for a standard vehicle, or where the space may obstruct an adjacent driveway which could pose safety risks for road users. The addition, number 5, approves the extension of broken yellow lines to 104 Wood Street, Wainuiomata, and 6, rescinds any previous resolutions related to traffic controls made pursuant to any bylaw to the extent that they conflict with the traffic controls described above. And 7, notes that the parking restrictions will take place once the appropriate road markings have been installed. And these recommendations support Council's Traffic Bylaw 2017, 2017 and sections of the Land Transport Road User Rule 2004. Do I have a seconder? Do we have any questions to the amendment, please?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to officers for the discussion and engagement with the community. I'm just wondering whether or not the resident of 106 particularly has been directly engaged and ensure that we have their feedback, given that they're the person most likely to be affected with the bus stop directly outside their house.
Hello, everybody. I think we did definitely receive feedback from the resident at 106. That should be included in the report. As far as I can remember, the feedback it was quite vague. There wasn't a direct issue per se with the shelter or the stop position. So it was quite hard for our team to actually respond to that feedback and take on any suggestions for improving the stop layout. We already tried several different locations for the stop and the shelter associated with it. and this location here on Parenga Street was found to be the most optimal to allow for a shelter rather than any other location on Wood Street. We do get into the situation where we are kind of picking and choosing, and we kind of enter into a lottery on who wants a bus stop outside their house. And we try to minimise that as much as possible, because we do know most people don't want a bus stop outside their house. People don't want parking taken away from them. So we are very considerate on where we place bus stops, especially if we have to move them, and especially if we are installing a new shelter. So this was found to be the most optimal, the best location to reduce impact on privacy, especially for the household here. But yes, again, it was very hard for my team to respond to the feedback from this one. But yeah, we didn't see anything that could really stop this location from progressing in its tracks.
Just a quick follow-up, and it's more procedural. Obviously, those conversations, when they happen via text or email, can be somewhat difficult. Were they invited to come and present to the committee meeting as well?
No, not as far as I'm aware, they weren't.
Okay. So can I just put a request in for the team that we ensure that actually people who have been engaged with the process are invited to come and speak to these committee meetings, so that we actually close that loop and ensure that we get the best feedback to them and that they feel listened and heard.
Okay, thank you. We'll make sure that's included. Councillor Tupou, you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The existing bus stop is one that I was raised on Wood Street, and that was the go-to bus stop. So I commend Councillor Quinton Duffy on efforts to, for the first time in my memory, put in a bus shelter for that neighbourhood. Yeah, just, I suppose, similar concerns to Councillor Parkin is looking at the layout, the proposed new layout, with the fact that the proposed new bus stop location be difficult for people with mobility accessibility concerns, with that street being on a slope, and because the current location is, in my mind, as a local, easier on the eye in terms of visibility and driving. Are there any concerns at all around traffic visibility? The majority of us would probably wait for the bus to move on, with oncoming traffic on the other side. So what sort of assessment went into that, as well as the accessibility question?
Kia ora, Chair and Councillors. Regarding the accessibility for 9915 Parenga Street, which is currently in, can I see the map?
It might be an idea. Shall we put the map up on the screen?
So, right. I got it here. Thank you. The services which runs along Wood Street and comes into Parenga before getting to the cross section of the Wood Street, current stop is around the corner of the intersection. In terms of visibility from Parenga and in terms of the sweeping path, it's considered as a bit of a safety risk. So even consideration of the shelter and a better accessibility, we are planning to relocate the shelter into the Parenga Street, which has two frontages, the one at 4 Wood Street. So that's the main reason for relocation of the existing stop to the new location.
So the new location would improve sightlines coming out of Parenga for road users turning left into Wood Street. And that's, again, another reason why we chose this location on Parenga, to reduce that risk for other road users on Wood Street.
Great, thank you. Just on the question of accessibility for people in wheelchairs, crutches, etc.
With a clear curb height of 135 mm, we still have the chance to ramp up the bus ramp onto the footpaths, so it's still accessible.
Great, thank you.
Right, thank you for that. So moving recommendations 1 to 7, which have been read out on page 14. Oh, we have another question on the amendment. Councillor Mitchell.
Sorry, not a question, a suggestion to the amendment, Madam Chair, which I think from memory said extend the yellow lines to 104 Wood Street. We have had once or twice in the past line painting contractors get a bit carried away. So I think just for clarity, perhaps it could say to the nearest edge of 104 Wood Street so they don't go right across the front of that property. I'm sure that's not the intention.
Good point. We'll just make that's done. Thank you very much for that point. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parkin, any debate? Put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. Anyone against, say no. I declare the motion carried. Item 5C, new bus stop route 149 to 70 Tirohanga Road in Tirohanga on page 24 of the agenda. All officers are at the table to speak to this.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions? If you can elaborate on
For sure.
number 24, thank you.
The proposal is for installation of a new bus stop outside 70 Tirohanga Road, which is part of GWRC Route 149. We have also engaged with GWRC on that proposal, and we were also asking them to include, as part of their proposal, broken yellow lines on the corners of the road to enable safer turning movement. There were 4 feedback received, 3 in favor of the proposal, and there was 1 resident who suggested some changes, particularly for a time-limited parking to be considered, so visitors could and other residents could use the parking space on evenings, on weekends. GWRC has stated that the suggestion would not comply with their standard bus service requirements.
Do we have any questions? Just from me, it's good to see those broken yellow lines just curve around both sides of the street there for that extra safety, so thank you for that. We have a hand up. Councillor Dyer.
Thank you, Chair. Is this, you obviously mentioned at the start of the meeting about the yellow lines going across people's driveways. Is this just sort of a blanket comment for all these papers? Like this one here has the broken yellow lines stopping right on their driveway. Is there our intention that we're going to have these conversations with everyone today, or do you want us to keep bringing these up for each paper as we move through?
As in the council, as we do have the process of delegated authority, we should be able to engage directly with residents and implement those broken lines without the needs to present the full paper at the draft resolution.
Cool, I understand that, but is it your commitment that you're going to speak with all these residents, or do you want us to raise that as we move through each of these papers?
Thank you, Councillor. We will engage with each of these individuals, the residents, for each of these situations before the implementation of the broken yellow lines.
Cool, thank you.
And I think the point's been made that we're looking for some consistency in the language of the papers, so any future papers will make sure that they're included. Right, so I move recommendations 1 to 5 on page 24. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parkin, any debate? Put the motion, it's been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. I declare the motion carried. Item 5D, the proposal for upgraded bus stops route 110, page 33 of the agenda. And if officers would like to speak to this, please.
The proposal is to standardize and upgrade 24 existing bus stops including bus boxes, entry and exit tapers with broken out lines, and also improve some landing areas, converting some grass berms to concrete where needed. There are several feedback received. Most of them were about access and in terms of Kainga or development. Officers from the WRC have engaged with Kainga or developers, and they have made some minor adjustments to fit to the purpose of the proposal. There is a table summarized on pages 36 and 37 with the summary of the feedback received. Most feedback was, there was no feedback received on those proposals.
Thank you for that. Members, are there any questions? Councillor Mitchell.
Yeah, I just had a question around, excuse me, stop number 8228. It's by Naenae College on High Street. And it looks
sorry, just a quick one. Which one is that number?
Stop number 8228. It's on page 46 of our agenda.
46, thank you.
And it's just on High Street outside Naenae College. It seems to be a double bus stop. It's longer than the standard 15 metres. My question was, if it is a double bus stop and a single bus requires 15 metres, why this one is 28.5 metres and not just 30?
Thank you, Councillor. I can answer this one. This stop is longer than usual just purely because of the number of vehicles we have coming through at one time. We have a high frequency Route 110 and another high frequency Route 120 coming through here, and a number of school buses also that service the college during school pickup time. So this stop, as far as I'm aware, I'm not from the design team, so I'm just giving the best as I know. That is why we have a longer than usual bus stop here.
Yeah, and is 28.5 metres a standard for a double bus stop? Single bus stops 15.
Roundabout. We also take into account the entry and exit tapers that comprise the whole bus stop, basically. So we do need that space, especially away from the pedestrian crossing. That's really the reason why we decided to shift this further south. Yeah, it's further south. Because of the proximity to that pedestrian crossing. We wanted to improve the safety there for people using that. Yeah.
Sure. I guess my question was why it wasn't 30 and extended it a little bit further south. But if your design team thinks this is appropriate, I think we could probably just leave it to their judgment.
Yeah, I guess it's here or there. Really, if you would like to make it 30, we can make it 30.
Well, it depends what works at their end. I'm not the expert in that.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident 28.5, including the tapers, is sufficient. Okay,
thank you.
Yeah, that is, sorry, Evandro was asking if that is the existing length of the bus stop, and it is. That is currently there now. So we wanted to keep that length as well as incorporate some tapers to ensure that clearance for our vehicles. Thank you.
Councillor Parkin.
Follow-up question on Councillor Mitchell's inquiry, and I suspect it might actually answer part of his thing, but if we shifted it and made it a 30-metre bus stop, would that actually impact on the amount of room between the car park available space in front of 819? I'm just looking at that from the map and going, it probably would remove a car park, and it would make that gap too short.
I think just from reviewing the map, just from this visual, I think if we did extend it to that much to 30 metres, it would infringe on the one remaining car park outside of 898 High Street. So they would essentially lose that one park. So I guess the measurements that we have now in this plan is also to ensure that that one park remains. Yeah. Thank you.
And a question from me. So the length of this particular broken yellow line enables 2 buses to be in there at the same time.
Yes, correct.
Right, any other questions? Right, I move recommendations 1 to 3 on.
Sorry, Chair, I had another question.
Yeah. Councillor Brady.
Thank you. Mine's on page 47. Bus stop 9229. I asked this at the pre-agenda and yeah, was confident we'd have a response now. Just about the consultation that's been undergone here with the businesses. There's obviously a dairy here that it's a short turnaround dairy that's losing 4 of their car parks. Yeah, it doesn't say in the consultation feedback whether they were supportive of it. Just keen to hear, yeah, really what the consultation occurred with the businesses in this area.
Thanks for the question, Councillor. I mean, for this 9229 stop, we have carried out the same sort of consultation with all those shop persons. Regarding that losing of 4 parkings, it's again a safety risk to the corner of the road. So that's why we have lost 3 of those closest parking to the intersection.
So has someone from Metlink, GW, Hutt City Council been in and spoken to this dairy owner?
Sorry, can I get the question again, please?
Has someone from Metlink, the regional council, or Hutt City Council been in and spoken with the dairy owner?
Yeah, we have given the consultations letter handed over straight away to the shop owners, and then they have provided feedback as well. We have replied to the feedback in the consultation forum.
Okay, and I don't think we can see their feedback. What was their feedback?
No, I don't think that we received any feedback from any of the businesses.
For the businesses?
Think. Yeah, we did go to every business and we hand-delivered consultation letters to every one of them, and we didn't receive anything, unfortunately. It would have been great if we did, but yeah, we just did not, unfortunately, receive anything.
So was it a conversation with the dairy owner about the proposal, or was it more like playing mailman, here's a letter, and walking out the door?
It's basically handing over the letters to the persons seeking feedback.
Okay. Like I do have concerns with this one. We're losing 4 car parks. The 3 that are out on High Street are quite hard to get into anyway because they're on High Street. It's quite hard to parallel park in there because it's quite narrow. There's also, I don't know if you know the corner well, but to get to the shops, there's about 3 or 4 steps. It's quite a high gradient off the grounds. To actually get to the dairy, there's steps there. And I know people with mobility issues use the car parks around the corner. We're removing all of the car parks on that side. It'll be physically impossible for these people to get to the dairy. And it just worries me that I feel like we might not have consulted the dairy owner properly. Yeah, I think for the businesses going and actually just talking about what the changes actually mean would be quite useful. And from my questioning, it doesn't really sound like that's happened. So unless you can provide some assurance that we're doing the right thing here and the dairy is fully supportive of it, I probably won't be able to support this one. But if you can change my mind by reassuring me that we've followed best practice here, then that would be great.
We could look to retain that 1 car park as we turn into Tennyson Ave from High Street, turning left, that one just by the intersection. If you have the map in front of you, we can look to retain that 1 car park. That was in collaboration with Hutt City traffic engineers, removed due to safety risk as well. We didn't initially look to remove that 1 car park there because we do know that it is needed to access the shops, but that is one thing that we can do to support the businesses there, is retain that 1 car park.
Yep, I'd be very supportive of that. Like I raised it at the pre-agenda meeting about why this bus stop couldn't just move forward. There's 11.5 metre taper.
Yeah. We do have a bit of an issue. There is, at the head of the stop, where the stop is now on the road, there is a driveway very close to it, a drop curb. So we are trying to position the head of the stop especially to an area where we have a full height curb, and also make sure we have enough bus box size and tapers to accommodate that safe entry and exit. So it is really tricky when there is parking and driveways all close to each other. So we really did and ah about the most optimal design for this stop. And obviously, when we discussed this with the traffic engineers, we did decide, okay, if we really want to improve safety as well, entering and exiting that intersection, we did look to remove that extra park too. But yes, and just chats now with Evandro, would be happy to reinstate that one park.
Okay, cool. I'd be supportive of that amendment, and also an additional recommendation for this one that we ask officers to go and talk to the dairy owner before this coming to full council for final sign off.
Just stepping in here, I think there's sufficient concern for this particular bus stop. I think it's something that we should take off the report here today and come revisit for another time. You happy with that?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that if you want, but I'm just wary these meeting cycles are very long and even stretched more at the moment with the election cycle. I just want reassurance that there's been a conversation with the dairy owner and there would be time between now and the full council meeting to provide that reassurance.
Thank you. So through Chair, so where we have broken yellow lines, bus stop improvements or the like near businesses, it is my expectation that businesses are engaged personally and not just having a letter dropped. So I'm not comfortable with this at all. And Chair and I have just had a chat and decided to pull this particular stop off until proper consultation and discussions have occurred in this particular case, and that'll be the same moving forward for any other situation such as this.
I'm comfortable with that then, thank you.
Councillor Mitchell, do you still have a question on this, or?
Just a suggestion before it does get pulled. If the first car park is to be retained around the corner, as has been indicated, there's on this map a 18 metre entry taper to that bus stop, where the standard is 9. So by my calculation, you could also shift that park 3 metres further into the road away from that corner and still have a 9 metre entry taper to the bus stop. So I just wanted to suggest that as well. In terms of personal conversations with businesses, happy to support that. It is a fair amount of work, and there are five by my count businesses in this picture alone. So if that's to be our new practice, I guess we may find some instances too where business owners simply don't agree with each other. So that might make the process a bit more complicated, but certainly happy for this to come back in the future once those business owners have all been talked to. And yeah, if that park nearest to the corner is reinstated, could it be moved a bit further away from the corner and still allow for an appropriate entry taper? Thank you.
I think you raised a good point. And I think that makes good sense for us to come back another time. Councillor Parker, one last question on this.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to indicate I'm more than happy that this gets parked, but I'm just wondering, in the course of officers relooking at this, I understand the issue of the drop curb, but looking at Google Maps, the drop curb doesn't start until after the permanent park, the 60-minute car park, which is the one closest to the garage that is being removed. And I'm just wondering whether or not we can shift the whole bus stop further along so that we use up until the end point of that bus stop and then carry the broken yellow lines through to the driveway, which would provide more space, utilize the part of the road that is least or less used for parking, and potentially free up 2 vehicles, car parks, but also mean that the bus drivers are not having to navigate, having done a hard turn into the road. They've actually got a few more meters before they actually have to pull into the bus stop itself.
Okay, thank you. All good points, and I'm sure these have all been noted, so thank you for that. Okay, so I'll go back to move recommendations 1 to 3 on page 33, bearing in mind that with item 2, recommendation 2, we've removed H.
Sorry, Chair, I have some other questions about other papers. Other stops.
Councillor Dyer?
Yeah, page 49, bus stop 9238. A lot of the other bus stops that have come to us, we've extended the yellow lines around the corner while taking the opportunity. This one's obviously right outside a very, very busy multi-dwelling unit. Williams Corp on the corner. Just wondering why we haven't extended the yellow lines around the corner for this one.
During pre-engagements with JWRC, that was not discussed. Us from council, we should be able to extend those broken yellow lines to the intersection of the roads.
To the intersection or around the corner?
Around the corner.
And then similar question on a few pages over, page 54. I understand this is a very, very busy corner with the area it's in. Just wondering why we've only given this one a tiny entry curb and not continued that around the corner.
Sorry, Councillor, could you just let us know what stop that is?
8237. This one's got like a 1 meter entry taper. And it's on a corner, so yeah. Just seems very inconsistent with these, like even the bus stop across the road. Why is this one only a 10 meter bus stop when the rest have been 15?
Yeah. We're happy to include the broken yellow lines around the corner.
Yeah. And what about the one across the road? Why it's only 10 meters and why the yellow lines there aren't going around the corner?
Councillor Dyer, I'm just seeking clarification. You're talking about Pearce Crescent and Tane Street, both corners. Broken yellow lines extending.
9237 and 8237. 8237 has no painted entry curb and it's on a corner. So for both those reasons, it should have an entry taper, but it probably should continue around more because there's a traffic island that if a car parked there, physically couldn't drive around that corner.
Yes.
37 across the road doesn't have the yellow lines in the corner and it's only 10 meters long. The whole exercise was about making these bus stops consistent in 15 meters.
Yes, you're correct, Councillor. I think because there's no entry taper for stop 8237, I think there might be a mistake. There definitely should be. And I'd be happy to support broken yellow lines extending into the intersection as you suggest. We can work with Evandro and his team on that. When I'm designing these bus stops, we do collaborate very well with Hutt City traffic engineers, and for something like this to extend past the 9 metre entry taper, I would expect the team to let me know to include broken yellow lines covering the section if that's required.
I think that's a good move too as well, just to point on that. That's a particularly busy corner during the winter season with the netball courts just around the corner. So broken yellow lines will stop anybody from parking on that corner. So, any other questions?
Sorry, I don't think we've addressed bus stop 9237 on the other side of the road, why it's only 10 metres and why the yellow lines there also don't go around the corner.
Yes, I only included 10 metres, 9 metres as a standard bus stop design. If we require more broken yellows, we'd be happy to include that as well to cover the intersection.
So I thought the whole purpose of this exercise was extending all the bus stops to 15 metres so they're all consistent.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. Yes, because the bus box is only 10 metres and it is very near to Pearce Crescent. With the installation of that entry taper, there's a high probability there won't be anybody parking there, so it didn't really make much sense for us to spend more money on extending that bus box itself to 15 metres when the clearance will always be there with the entry taper. So essentially the bus box itself can remain the same size. The broken yellows will do the job for us essentially.
Okay, thank you.
Right, are there any more questions on bus stops? No. Okay, so I move that recommendations 1 to 3 on page 33. We've removed 2H. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parkin? Any debate? Councillor Mitchell?
Yeah, just did want to note, in addition to all the changes to lengths and entry and exit tapers. Just a note in paragraph 3 that part of this work too is that those bus stops with landing areas on grass berms will be upgraded to concrete paths with funding support from Greater Wellington Regional Council. So I'd just like to thank the officers of both councils for that piece as well, make the buses much more friendly to our users, particularly on a day like this.
A welcome addition. Thank you. Councillor Dyer.
Yeah, kia ora. I'm happy to support these today. I just wanted to express my disappointment at some of these papers that it makes our job really hard. We're obviously not traffic engineers, but we are talking with people on the street and obviously walking. We're residents of these areas, and it makes our job really hard when they are like this. So yeah, just happy to support it, and obviously the intent of it, of making it safer for buses to get to the curbs to improve accessibility, absolutely on board for that. But I just worry about the extra cost and expense that we will now have to incur to re-consult with these businesses, and even questioning some in the first place. The bus stop on Reynolds Street, 9235, we've obviously gone through the expense of consultation with them, and there'll be, I imagine, in the thousands to remove these lines, only to remove the bus stop length by 2 meters. It doesn't bring any extra car parking. We're literally moving the bus stop. Not even moving the bus stop, just reducing the length of it and putting yellow lines against the curb serves no purpose really, but there's obviously a cost involved. And we're at the stage we're at now. We've obviously done consultation, so I'm not proposing we don't do this one, but yeah, I think the public expects us to do a good job with these. And it's no criticism of the officers. I think you're doing very well. I just wish there was some consistency with these papers when they come through.
Thank you, Councillor Dyer. I think that consistency is something we've already talked about and working towards, so thank you very much. I now put the motion which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. Anyone against? I declare the motion carried. Just like to thank Greater Wellington Regional Council officers Leonie and Arjun. Thank you very much for coming through, and thank you very much for all the work that you're putting into making our bus stops safer for our residents, so appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to 5E, proposed paid parking, 29 Waterloo Road, Hutt Central. Officers, would you like to add to this, please? Page 66 of the agenda.
Thank you, Chair. This paper is seeking approval to convert 2 authorised vehicle-only car parks at 29 Waterloo Road and Hutt Central to paid parking spaces. That's HC2 paid parking. Council's parking team had advised us that advised the transport team that there were 2 spaces that were allocated to driver testing vehicles outside what is the former AA building on Waterloo Road. The AA no longer occupies this building, so these spaces are not able to be enforced. It is recommended to convert these spaces to HC2 paid parking to align with other parking spaces in the vicinity. There is a parking meter, 2 spaces in front of those parking spaces, so there's no need for additional infrastructure around parking meters. There was consultation undertaken between the 23rd of June and the 14th of July 2025, and there were no submissions received. I'm happy to take any questions.
Members, are there any questions? Councillor Parkin?
Has that building been occupied by a new tenant at this point, and have we ensured that if the tenancy's only just changed over, have we consulted with them?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, it's a bookshop that is now in that building, and they were included in the consultation when that was undertaken.
Councillor Mitchell.
Yeah, just noting that AA have moved over to High Street, I think it is. Have we done the opposite at the other end? Have we created those special parks for them on High Street, or do they not require those any longer?
Thank you, Councillor. We've not had any requests to include or for new authorised vehicle parkings for the AA.
Are there any further questions? No. I therefore move recommendations 1 to 4 on page 66. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Dyer. Is there any debate? No. I put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. Anyone against, say no. I declare the motion carried. Number 5F, proposed parking restrictions, Kotari Road in Days Bay. It's on page 73 of the agenda. Officers, do you have anything to add to this paper?
Thank you, Chair. This proposal seeks approval for the installation of broken yellow lines with no stopping at all times between numbers 3 and number 13 Kotari Road, as well as 4 P10 restricted time parking spaces, which would be 8:15 a.m. to 9:15 and 2:45 to 3:45 on school days only. Just one correction to the paper, that the request was actually received by the Days Bay Residents Association, who went through the Eastbourne Community Board with the request. So it was actually the Days Bay Residents Association that put in the request. It was regarding the difficulties that were experienced traversing Kotari Road, particularly during the busy school drop-off and pick-up times. To address the impact, engineers visited the site and assessed it, and with the narrow width of the road, agreed that broken yellow lines would be the best solution to enable safe passage along Kotari Road. Consultation was undertaken between the 23rd of June and the 14th of July, and that included the school. 4 responses were received. 3, including from Wellesley College, were in favour of the proposal. 1 response was not in favour. The objection received proposed to have the P10 parking spaces on Marine Drive rather than on Kotari Road. It was felt by officers that that would not resolve the issue, particularly students crossing a busy road where there are buses and cars, or a number of buses and cars using that area at the time. Officers worked through various potential options with the respondent and settled on the original proposal as being the best, and that was agreed to by the resident. This proposal was also endorsed by the Eastbourne Community Board on the 19th of August at their meeting. We're happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that, and great feedback there. Members, any questions? Right, I move that recommendations 1 to 5 on page 73. Do I have a seconder? Hang fire, we've got Councillor Mitchell with a raised hand. Is that a question or just a... Councillor Mitchell.
It's a comment, Madam Chair, if we're into debate.
Apologies, yes, we are in debate. Sorry, Mr. Wee step there.
That's all right.
Thank you, Councillor Mitchell.
Oh, no, I just wanted to acknowledge that you can see reading through this paper that there was a bit of to and fro with a resident who had their own ideas about the layout of these parks, and it concludes that after several discussions and a review of the options, that resident then confirmed their support where they hadn't supported it initially. And I think this shows the value of those face-to-face conversations that can be had, as we discussed earlier with the shop owners too, that it just gives you an opportunity, maybe more so than in a letter drop, to explain to people the consequences of other options and the fact that other options have been reviewed and why we've landed on a particular one. So I think that's a really good example right there. The outcome didn't change. It still ended up the way that officers had proposed it, but that resident had a really good opportunity to hear about and understand what was proposed and why some other options might not be quite so good. So I think it's a really good example there of good work in practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mitchell, and I agree with that. Just confirming, seconder was Councillor Parkin. We've had our debate, put the motion which has now been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. I declare the motion carried. On to 5G, Konini Street, Wainuiomata, a new parking configuration for the Konini Primary School. It's on page 81 of the agenda. Officers, if you can add to this paper, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This resolution is for the introduction of new parking configuration at Konini School to improve parking availability around the primary school. The proposal includes converting broken yellow lines to 3 time-restricted P10 spaces, and that's outside number 24 and 26 to 30 Konini Street. Also looking to convert 4 currently unenforceable P5 parks to P10 with time restrictions. This is outside 23 to 36 Konini Street. The time restrictions will also be updated to align with the school's start and finish times. There is a start time of 8:45 and finish time at 2:45 for Konini School. Council officers have been working with Konini School for some time with the ongoing parking issues the school is experiencing at the drop-off and pick-up times. We've been working in conjunction with our parking enforcement colleagues as well around further enforcement of parking outside the school. And through various visits, it was seen that there could be improvements made to the availability of parking to improve the situation there. The school was engaged with directly around the solution prior to going to wider consultation. Public consultation was carried out between 23rd of June and the 14th of July, and no submissions were received. This proposal has also been endorsed by the Wainuiomata Community Board at the meeting on the 20th of August. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions, members? Councillor Mitchell.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, to be honest, to read that the school had requested that the times be shifted to 2:15 to 3:15 at the pickup period, given that their school finishes at 2:45. I mean, maybe schools operate in a different way, but when my son was at primary school, they were very hesitant to let children out before the bell rang at the end of the day. This school here finishes at 2:45. The restrictions start at 2:15. So if anyone turned up at 2:15, I'd have to leave that park by 2:25, which is still 20 minutes before school even finishes. So I was kind of surprised that they dragged it so far before the actual closing time of the school. That's up to them, I guess, and maybe they operate in a different way. The question I do have, though, and I asked it at a previous meeting recently when we were changing parking times outside of school, was whether and how this aligns with what will be a temporary speed zone in the school pickup time at the end of the day. Is the proposed school speed zone for pickup also 2:15 to 3:15? Because I think we want to avoid, if possible, having a school pickup time that for parking that is different from a school pickup time for driving speeds.
A very good point. Can we have an answer to that one? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor, and through the Chair. Yes, we will be aligning the times for the reduced speeds to parking as well for the consistency.
Do you have another question, Councillor Mitchell? No, thank you. Any other questions, members? Oh, here we go.
Through you, Chair. Thanks, Councillor. I raised the same questions around the timing, Councillor Mitchell, because we are seeking consistency across pick-up and drop-off times across the city with the schools, but obviously this has got a slightly different start and finish time. But I did, specifically question around whether it's an hour here, and then most other schools are half an hour. But as Paul said, in this case, the school specifically requested this, so we've gone with it. But yeah, we are aiming for that consistency of time across all schools.
Thank you. So I move recommendations 1 to 7 on page 81. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parkin, is there any debate? I put the motion which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against say no. I declare the motion carried. Item 5H, no stopping at all times, Wainuiomata Hill Road on page 89 of the agenda. Can we have an update on this, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This proposal is to formalise the no stopping lines that have been installed currently on the crest of Wainuiomata Hill Road. It is, as you crest over the hill, go under the underbridge and you head down towards Wainuiomata. Previously, there had been a number of hit sticks, the flexible plastic sticks at this location. During recent resurfacing works, the maintenance team had to remove those sticks and install broken yellow lines at this location. This proposal is effectively to formalise the no parking there with the broken yellow lines and the addition of the no stopping signs. We're happy to take any questions.
Members, any questions? No raised hand. So I move recommendations 1 to 3 on page 89. Do I have a seconder? Parkin, is there any debate? Put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against say no. I declare the motion carried. 5I, broken yellow lines, no stopping at all times, Halifax Street and Whitehall Street in Wainuiomata. It's on page 93 of the agenda. Can we have a report on this, please?
Thank you, Chair. This resolution is for the introduction of broken yellow lines, no stopping at all times, restrictions between numbers 10 and 13 Halifax Street, that is through the cul-de-sac, and Whitehall Street. Council officers received a request from residents regarding the safety concerns they had relating to the accessibility for waste management, vehicles, which is called the manoeuvrability, which is caused by parked cars in the cul-de-sac, and subsequent difficulty they were having manoeuvring around in there. Given the narrow width of Halifax Street, it was also proposed to extend the broken yellow lines further along Halifax Street. The picture included in Appendix 1 is typical of what officers found for the parking for the on-street parking on Halifax Street, and that there was generally very little with the availability of off-street parking. Tracking assessments that were completed by engineers also confirmed that large trucks would have difficulty manoeuvring when parked cars were present in the cul-de-sac. And the engineers have contacted Waste Management, who confirmed that drivers do have difficulties manoeuvring. There was initial consultation between the 23rd and the 14th of July 2025. One submission was received seeking an extension of the broken yellow lines to include the driveways at number 13. This was considered by officers who reconsulted with the extended broken yellow lines, and no further responses were received. This proposal has been endorsed by the Wainuiomata Community Board on the 20th of August this year. We're happy to take any questions.
Members, any questions? No? Councillor Parkin?
Sorry, I'm struggling to find House 13 on the map. I'm presuming it's on the upper section and is actually cut off, but just wanted that confirmation.
I can confirm that properties 13th is the one around the corner. As you can see on page 97, the configuration is properties 3, 5, 7, 11, and so forth.
Thank you. It is rather odd numbering on that one, isn't it? Any other questions? No. I move recommendations 1 to 4 on page 93. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parkin, is there any debate? I put the motion. A comment? Thank you, Councillor Tupou.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just something that came to mind for me was if it weren't for the need for fire trucks and emergency services to access Halifax Street, then I probably would have been in favour of a more flexible option of sort of restricted for Fridays only in terms of rubbish pickup days. I'm not sure whether the Red Bin or other private contractors are still operating in the area, but that's my thought. That I was surprised to me that a fire truck couldn't access or would struggle to access Halifax if private vehicles were parked along where the yellow lines are proposed. And in fact, it raises for me a flag how many other streets and cul-de-sacs across the Hutt has the same problem. Kia ora.
Thank you for that comment, Councillor Tupou. I now put the motion, which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, no. I declare the motion carried. Item number 6, information item, Traffic Subcommittee update of approved traffic resolutions on page 104 of the agenda. If you'd like to speak to this, please.
Thank you, Chair. Not a lot to add to this. This just provides an update on progress for completion and the undertaking of the resolutions that have been passed by the committee.
Thank you. Sorry, are there any questions? Councillor Parkin.
More of a future question. With the resolution that we've passed with multiple bus stops, I'm just wondering whether or not are we counting that as one resolution? If so, actually, does that really accurately map the amount of work that is required?
We are counting that as a single resolution. As you can see on page 106, there was a route 1110 previously approved by this committee that had, there's also a comment about the completion of that, so that is a similar as the approved paper for today.
Just a thought then, not asking for a change for this meeting, but possibly next triennium, it's maybe is actually worth itemizing the number of changes that we're making to more accurately reflect the amount of work that is happening.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. We can obviously keep this as a live document and update it to suit needs.
And I see 2 hands on the screen. Councillor Dyer, you first.
Yeah, just wanted to add to the conversation. Obviously, this was brought forward to our agendas because I requested it as just better oversight for the committee of decisions we've made. I understand Councillor Parkin's point, but me, I don't want officers to have to do heaps more work on this. This is something we asked for just to provide that reassurance that when we make a decision, it's going into something that we can visually see so we know once it's been completed, and something we can also point residents to when they say, hey, you signed off that bus stop 8 months ago, what's happening with it? It hasn't just kind of gone into a black hole, which is what was occurring, and that was the reason for bringing in this report. If it's not any more work, then fine, add it, but I'm more than happy with what we've got in front of us. But obviously this will be a decision for the future council.
Thank you, Councillor Dyer. Councillor Mitchell.
Yeah, I was going to agree. I think this could get quite unwieldy if, say, I mean, today's resolution about bus stops had 20 in it, I think, and if there were 20 bus stops in there, you're really asking for reporting against 20 individual bus stops. I'm quite comfortable with the comment there that 20% have been completed and 80% still to go. Quite comfortable, I say, noting that that was approved in February 2024, and I just wondered if there's a scope in some of these, not necessarily every resolution, but in some of them, maybe the ones that are the responsibility of other parties, to put some kind of estimated time of implementation in there, because as Councillor Dyer noted, we sometimes get asked about things and remember having signed them off quite a long time ago, and included here are bus stops that were signed off, more than 18 months ago now, that most of them haven't even been started by the look of things. So I don't know whether as part of these updates, particularly older ones, I guess, we can get an indication of when things are likely to be completed.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. Through the chair, yes, I think that's reasonable. We can add a bit more context into those responses to offer a bit more information on the timeframes for delivery, approximate timeframes anyway.
And if I can just add to that, some really good ideas coming out of this. One I raised at the agenda meeting, I think, was perhaps put in bus stops in numerical order, just so that they're easy to find. When we're going back, we do get a lot of questions from residents, and it would be good to just be able to find them quite quickly. So thank you for that. I move recommendation 1 on page 103. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parkin, 100% today, I think. Thank you. I now put the motion which has been moved and seconded. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against say no. I declare the motion carried. Questions. I've received no questions. Before I get on to the closing formalities, This is the last Traffic Subcommittee meeting for this quarter, and I know for sure that we won't have one person here, and that's Councillor Tupou, who's moving on from Hutt City Council, hopefully to the Greater Wellington Regional Council, so wish you well with that, Councillor Tupou. I'd also like to thank everybody here for your commitment, dedication, officers. We worked really well together, and thank you, Vanessa, for democracy as well too, and John, Transport. Appreciate the work that you do. So, if you would like to join me in closing formalities, karakia whakamutunga. Unahia, unahia, unahia uturu apu tapunui, kia wātia, kia mama, te nākau, te tinana, te wairua I te ara takatu, koe rā e rongo whakaraihia, a ki kurunga, kia wātia, ai rā, kua wātia, hau pai, marerere. Thank you. And we close the meeting.